Hello, welcome to the new Wild and Brave YouTube channel. I'm Morgan Hendrix, the creator of Wild and Brave, and I'm glad you're here. We are launching a brand new channel, and today we start a new series on Mondays, every Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern. And for the next 6 weeks, we're going to be covering something we call building a deep work practice. You can think of Mondays as our long form live content. If you're watching with us live, say hello to me in the comments. When you're live, you'll have the opportunity to watch and interact with us. You can receive coaching through the chat here on YouTube, all around some of the wild ideas that we're learning and brave actions that we're developing here at Wild and Brave. A lot of the content you will see on our channel will only be a few minutes long. It'll be really easy to digest and focus tightly so that you can save time on a busy day. But Mondays are our opportunity to really sit with an idea, to explore it a little more thoroughly, and to answer live questions. We'll also cover questions and explore solutions to problems that you have sent in by email. So you can send those questions to us. They'll reach me directly if you email morgan@wildandbrave.com. All right, so you can send in questions. Let us know your feedback and comments, and we'll make sure that they get answered here on the channel and shared back with you. All right, well, we are a brand new channel, and so that subscribe really does make a difference for us. So if you haven't yet, you can click the red button, and we promise to keep bringing you the best content we possibly can. Now, there's a lot that goes into living wild and brave. So some of the topics you'll see us cover here include strategies for dealing with stress and anxiety, changing your life through habits and achieving goals. We'll talk about communicating effectively and authentically, things like negotiating, nurturing a team. We'll talk about something we call emotional vibrance, and we'll learn how it makes us strong, resilient, and shockingly smarter. And we'll spend some time with something called deep work, which is key if you want to find your calling, if you want to make professional progress or make a transition. Deep work is how we become truly world class, and it's how we find flow. This requires focus, attention, dealing with distractions and chaos, and it's really the key to increasing our value and our impact by becoming not just good enough to compete, but actually one of the best in the world at what matters to us. All right, that's deep work. We know that this is a lot, and honestly, even trying to launch this channel is intimidating because we've got some truly wild goals for the next 5 years here. If you'd like an easy way to kind of know what's coming up on our channel, you can always just get the free content digest by email every couple of weeks. Sign up at wildandbrave.com/free. While you're there, you'll see some of our other free resources. But if you'd like that free email content digest, it'll simply outline some of what's gone up on the channel recently so that you can pick and choose the information that's going to be most useful for your life. If there's one thing we know about wild and brave humans, it's that your life is very full. So we try to help you along the way with quick, tiny brave actions and tastes of wild ideas that can help you really enjoy and be more of who you are trying to be in the spaces that are meaningful to you. All right, so if you want to dive in, today is going to be a lot of fun. And honestly, I'm glad you're here. Today is week number 1 of a 6-week series to help you build that deep work practice. Here's today's first wild idea. If you want epic growth in your life, you need to develop something called a wild rhythm. Now, when I say epic growth, what do you think of? I'd love for you to share your answers in the comments so that we can see. I want to know, what might epic growth look like for you? All right, I'm going to open the comments and make sure I see your feedback. If you're catching the replay and you're a friend of Wild and Brave, you know we love comments in the replay as well. So treat it as if you're live, even if you're catching this on your own timetable. There will be lots of people who consume the content after you, and so your comments will enrich their experience as well. All right, so epic growth. There are all kinds of growth that we can have. One of the worst kinds is that growth that seems exhausting, but it doesn't actually get us anywhere. Who's been doing that? I call it frustrated growth. It's a lot of effort. It's kind of this striving, grunting, a very exhausting way of trying to make sure. Sometimes we call this leaving it all on the court, where you know you were exhausted, and we use that exhausted to tell us, I worked as hard as I could. I know I was dead at the end, so how could I have worked harder? That can create kind of this frustrated growth where you think you're doing everything you can, but you're not really seeing progress. All right, so that's one kind. I think it's probably the worst kind. This is super discouraging and demoralizing. Efforts going out, but progress isn't substantial. Sometimes it's even just a drip of progress. You're making little tiny improvements, but you're getting tireder than you are making progress, where the progress you're making just doesn't make up for the effort that's going out. It's pretty common. Another very common one is something I think of as sporadic growth. Sporadic growth is the kind that happens when we free up some bandwidth to grow from time to time. And we do that to work on something that we know needs our attention. All right, most often this happens where we free up bandwidth because something is at stake, right? Maybe a partner threatens consequences if we don't change one of our lifestyle behaviors at home. They just cannot put up with it anymore. Or maybe it's something at work where job retention goes out the window if we don't upskill. We don't keep sharp or progress in what we're capable of doing. This type of sporadic growth can be exhausting as well, because we have to wedge it in with all the other demands of life. We sometimes fall chronically behind on other important things that we really need to maintain on a daily basis, but they get sidelined because we are forcing ourselves to grow. This can cost us. Sometimes the cost comes in our relationships. Sometimes it happens to our opportunities. We miss out on things, or maybe it just drains your energy, right? Either way, it tends to have a cost. The main thing is that this sporadic growth isn't stable or self-amplifying. You don't see momentum pick up because you squeeze it in when you can, and then you have to go pick up the pieces of everything that had to wait. Then there's epic growth, right? I like to think of epic growth as being the type of growth that is so immense and powerful because it's durable. I personally love that word durable. You can tell me what you think in the comments. Some people have different associations with the concept of durability. But to me, epic growth comes from taking a growth process and really baking it into your life. It becomes part of your normal or your default setting. That means that if it is part of normal life, logically, you get more access to growth on a daily basis. However, as logical as this sounds, it can really be hard to implement. You have to carve a groove in your normal routine where that growth consistently lives. But what happens when you don't have a normal routine, right? What if that routine is constantly shifted by new urgencies in your life, changing circumstances in your life? This is what happens when we start living life on the fly, just trying to make the best of the moment. But really, we're in survival mode, right? Survival mode can absolutely save your life, but it can't give you a life. All right, I'm going to switch over to comments here and see who is experiencing some of this can till can't sort of survival mode living. What is happening in your life that just kind of keeps coming up, keeps reducing your ability to have a steady rhythm? You can share with us in the comments. We all go through seasons of can till can't, right? If this is one of those seasons for you, you can throw us an emoji in the comments. Sometimes sharing the pain can make us feel a little bit better, right? But what about epic growth? What about living a life that's so significantly different 5 years from now because you're making small progress every day? What if you had confidence that you were making meaningful progress on the things that mattered most, right? The kind of progress that really gets you somewhere. That kind of progress requires some form of consistency. In a way, I feel like consistency is one of the four-letter words of the personal growth world, right? Sure, we say, I totally see more progress if I could be consistent. But seriously, tell me, how? Life is crazy. How can I be more consistent? And it's a fair question. For a lot of us, we have chronic unmet goals of developing consistency in our lives. Consistency we've been trying to make happen maybe for years. In my life as a coach, I've met incredible humans who have so much on the ball. They have so much potential and drive and creativity, and they're doing things, but they feel like they chronically fail to create the kind of consistency that they think they're supposed to have. So let's take a close look at what consistency looks like when it comes to a wild and brave life. Consistency is not stale. It's not mindless or fixed. When we talk about consistency at Wild and Brave, we mean the kind of consistency that is achieved through something that's a bit of a paradox, the paradox of wild rhythm. All right, wild rhythm. The part of a wild rhythm that's wild is about big, scary, beautiful, meaningful passions in your life. Next week, actually, on Monday at 10 Eastern, we're going to talk about what it looks like to rewild your life so that you get this piece of wildness thriving in your world. If we don't have the top of the food chain right, set in our world, the little scavengers, little time eaters of urgency, distraction, and drama just multiply and they eat up our energy and our resource reserves. So if you're overworking, if you're exhausted, or if you're burnt out, it might be that the wild part of the wild rhythm paradox is what needs attention for you. We're going to talk more about that next week. But the rhythm is what takes all of that wildness and absorbs the chaos out of it. When we talk about this rhythm, a really good analogy is the heartbeat. We tend to think of a heartbeat as steady, right? But that comforting, maybe monotonous sound of a heartbeat that we think of actually isn't that steady at all. One of the key indicators of a heart's health and vitality is something called heart rate variability. It's your heart's ability to continue its rhythm while shifting in performance and effort in order to allow you to, deal with stress. You can respond to stressors and recover from it. It can shift slightly. Your heart shifts to get in harmony with another heartbeat, or it can throb with an attention-grabbing response if you have an injury, right? All while keeping the rhythm going so that all your systems are still supported while your attention is drawn to something important, right? That wild rhythm is what allows you to keep investing in healthy relationships instead of playing hot potato with the soothing the ones where there's damage or dissonance, right? Wild rhythm lets you keep caring for your health even while you push to meet a big professional goal, a hurdle that takes extra time and focus. Instead of putting your energy on the back burner, that making it wait until after you've crossed the finish line, when really you need that energy the most at the time when you are focused on making progress. A wild rhythm lets you develop options before you need to take them, and relationships that aren't just transactional. It's how you build and sustain community through tough seasons of life. And it's also how you become truly world class at something. I think of this wild rhythm as a paradox because these two pieces aren't just contrary together to each other. Wildness isn't just the opposite of having a rhythm, and rhythm doesn't necessarily have to exist without the wildness. The truth is, they're a paradox because in concert, these opposing truths, they amplify each other's effect. Think about it. The deeper you carve your rhythm, the more wildness, the bigger goals, the more responsive passions, the bigger impact that rhythm can sustain for you. And the more vibrant and truly tuned into yourself your wildness is, the more power and determination you can bring to fuel that consistent action. So the more wild it is, the more steady you can be at serving it. And the more steady it is, the more stability and energy you have to thrust into the big, passionate impact you're trying to make. All right, I know this is conceptual, but tell me in the comments, what have been some of the times when you were really consistent about something? Think about it. When's the last time that you just were deeply, impressively consistent about something? I can remember some different things in my life. Lately, my writing practice I've been very consistent with. So that will be my example for today. Okay, now when you think of that consistency, what was the wild passion behind doing that thing? Was it a goal? Maybe? Was it something important that was at stake or at risk? Maybe something was wrong, and so you put in a consistent effort to fix a problem, right? You can share that in the comments too. Hey to Megan for being live with us today. Great to have you. Even if you're catching the replay, we want to know what you have to say. So share with us what was the thing that one of the things you've been consistent about, and what was the wild idea, the passion that was behind it that fueled it for you. All right. Now, if you have seen a wild rhythm pop up in your life, a passionate, almost relentlessness that helped you make progress. For many of us, our first experience with wild rhythm is something that's imposed on us by circumstance. It happens to us, right? You may be in a season where you know that you want to compete in a competition. Maybe you're going to run a 5K or your first marathon. The opportunity to do it with a friend gives you a fixed deadline. Maybe you have you want to earn bragging rights at training or on race day, and it's something that would be really meaningful accomplishment for your health or for your community. Maybe you're running for a cause, right? And maybe you got roped into it, but now you're super excited, and all of the good that you're going to accomplish with this training, it makes you excited, maybe for the first time, to start getting out on Saturdays for long runs with the group and training in the morning or after work when maybe fitness was not something that you were making time for. All right, that's an example of a circumstance kind of forcing a wild rhythm on us. And it can be incredibly powerful for a short time. As long as that outside circumstance is forcing us, and the important, wild, beautiful thing calls to us, that circumstance can force our rhythm. But what if we cultivated it on purpose? What would become possible if all the little stuff wasn't eating up your resources, your energy? What if you were able to create durable consistency in pursuit of that epic impact? All right, it really is possible. And that's what we're going to do to hear together a little through this free content series. All right, so today's major technique we're going to teach actually is a bit of a mindset. All right. I call it the growth spiral. Well, the concept is the growth spiral, and there's some actions that we can take to prepare for a wild rhythm to help one really set up in our life. But it won't work if we don't get some of these preliminary mindsets in place. So we're going to start with that today. Now, I have a graphic I would love to share with you, but you have to promise not to laugh at me. It's kind of a messy graphic. Before I share it with you, and before we focus in on this technique, though, I want to invite you and let you know that if you need more of this in your life right now, maybe you really have an urgent, important thing, an important opportunity you don't want to miss, or you are so burnt out, you're afraid you're just going to quit your job, but which you can't afford to quit, but which is killing you right now. If you want to start working one-on-one with a coach or have a conversation to get some support with this, you can connect to us for a free coaching session. You can actually get that on our website at wildandbrave.com/free. All right, so if you go to our free coaching, just head to wildandbrave.com/free, and that's the best place to go for that. But we actually will do a free coaching session with you. If you've never experienced Wild and Brave coaching before, we want you to have that experience. And sometimes you're ready to talk one-on-one. So feel free to reach out for that. All right, now for the growth spiral. All right, here's my funny graphic. Let me get it pulled up. It is, all right, here. And I'm going to take my face away because I think it's in the way a little bit. Nope. Let's see. We're learning some new things here, guys. I can show you without my face in the way. There we go. Okay, so it's kind of a messy graphic. It's something I've been working on for the last couple of weeks as a way to visually play with our idea of how growth happens, all right, how we make progress. And if we think about this graphic as just a way of splitting out the areas of our life, we're looking at 4 here, just for the sake of thinking together. I've split out biological growth, intellectual growth, relational growth, and emotional growth. You see those along the midline there. And those are 4 areas that are easy to think of our growth in. When you think of biological growth, this could be something like a fitness goal or a sleep goal, right? Something where you're wanting to perform, you want your body and your mind to really perform well, and that happens on a biological level. When you work, when your body does work, the way that you recover from that, you expend by working and you recover through rest. That rest replenishes your body. If it's physical training, maybe you're having workouts. Workout is the expending of the energy, and the replenishment happens through rest, through sleep. All right. Intellectual, we think of thinking is actually an action. You expend energy, you expend yourself in thinking. If you've ever heard yourself say, my brain hurts, it means that you have been expending yourself. Good for you. Maybe you've challenged your thinking with trying to learn a new language or solve a problem. When we do that, we're actually working, right? And we're working pretty hard. If you think about the way that your body and your mind work, a similar thing happens relationally. The way we connect to other people, when you connecting is work. And even if you're a people-oriented person, right? You're very, very people-oriented. Connecting still takes energy. And you'll find that there are people who are easy for you to connect with and people who are not easy for you to connect with, right? Connecting relationally often requires effort. And if we want to improve our skills or our skillfulness at connecting to others. Maybe we want to negotiate better in threatening circumstances. Maybe we want to nurture or influence our kids with more effect. Maybe we want to help our team feel more like a team and less like a war room, right? Whatever your growth goal is relationally, you actually recover. You have to expend energy and then recover in solitude. When you're with yourself is when you can kind of put those relational skills in safe mode and recoup. And then emotionally, you expend yourself emotionally every day, whether you really think about it or not. But what most people don't realize is that our emotional strength and capacity grows with use. It's not just a fixed capacity you have where emotionally you start in an okay place and then the positives and negatives add up to maybe not having any positive emotions left. Emotional strength really can be grown, and we grow through feeling and then reflecting on the feelings. Okay, so you get that idea. I don't pretend that this is completely, all these ideas of growth are new with me, but putting them together in a way where we see the expending and replenishing of effort is where growth happens. I have to tell you, guys, there's a wild idea here. And that wild idea is that progress happens during recovery. All right, let me actually show you this graphic again. Usually when we draw a spiral, we will draw it where we go forward with effort, and when we rest, we see ourselves as being set back. We go forward when we work, and if we have to take time off, it's pulling us back. If we're thinking, that's when we're progressing. And then if we have to gather our thoughts, then that's pulling us back. Or if we're connecting, that's when, making new friends. But if we don't have solitude to bring our identity along and think into our personal meaning, we need that in order to recover. Same with emotion. Think of the expending as progress, like running. It's in the workout. If you're trying to get your cardio fitness up and you do cardio training, you think that you're making progress when you're using your heart. But your heart is actually being weakened. It's wearing itself out when it's being worked. It's when you sleep that the cells, with the little tired cells, actually get to remake themselves. They get to be refreshed and rebuilt. Your body's doing this on a cellular level to the muscles in your body. It's a really nice analogy of what physically happens in the body when you break down a muscle with exercise and then you rest and give it nourishment and hydration in order to recover. It's in the recovery, though, that progress is actually made. So we flip this spiral so that you see that work is what kind of, you empty yourself through the expending, and it's when you rest that you move forward. All right, and I got real excited and totally lost track of my notes. What we can say here is that as you recover, your growth accrues. And it's consistency, that rhythm, that consistent rhythm of expending effort and recovering effort that allows you to add up growth on top of growth. This is where progress really happens. All right, so how do we do this? How do we embrace this idea? I know it's a little bit messy, still working on it for the book I'm writing. But instead of living in a world where we see progress and recovery, effort as progress and recovery as setback, we need to approach the expending and replenishing of effort with that wild rhythm. All right, so let's talk about doing this in some way for real today or this week. We're all about tiny, brave actions. So here's the brave action. This week, I want you to take a minute and think about these 4 areas of your life: biological, intellectual, relational, and emotional. Look to see what your current rhythm is like. Is it sporadic? Biologically and my body side, my fitness training has been kind of sporadic lately, right? So that's an area where I feel like my rhythm, I need more of a wild rhythm in my on my physical body on the biological side. Look at each of yours. Uh, is your rhythm sporadic? Is it absent? Is there no effort being expended? Is it one-sided where maybe you're working, working, working and collapsing? There's actually a really large difference between recovery and restoration and just convalescence. Have you ever noticed that if you have a really hard day and you tell yourself, man, I need downtime, and you feel totally burnt out, and you grab maybe like something to eat, quick food, sit down, and you just veg. Maybe it's a show you like, maybe you just turn on something mindless, and you just let yourself sit there and don't ask anything of yourself. Sometimes that isn't as restful as you might like to think that it is. Sometimes you actually are still dead when you head off to bed, sometimes later than you mean to. That kind of one-sided spiral where you, if effort and collapse, it doesn't move you forward. Because remember, the effort is a backward motion. If you want to move forward, you have to actually recover. Okay, so look, your action is to look and see how's your rhythm. Are you expending and recovering in each area? Are you expending and recovering relationally? I think most of us go through seasons where we will expend less. Maybe we're not recovering well, so we feel like we have to draw in how much relational effort we're expending. But what if you recovered better so that you had more to offer and you evened out your wild rhythm? Now, most of us assume that it's the effort that gives us progress, and needing to rest means we're moving backwards. But we do know that sleep is when your body makes physical gains. Consolidation is where your mind makes leaps in thinking. Solitude is where the value and meaning of our connections can really come home. And reflection is where our emotional experiences actually come to enrich us. All right, so you can share in the comments one area of your life where you've been flipping the growth spiral. Maybe you've been seeing it backwards. Where you have the growth spiral maybe upside down. You see the effort as the gain. I've been doing this lately on my mental area, where I was putting all of my energy into taking in information, reading, trying to create all of my inputs, working on notes for stuff. And lately I've learned a process of mental consolidation. It's an active process of recovering that mental energy. It's got me moving forward finally in leaps and bounds. So who else has something they've been looking at backwards? Sometimes if we flip the growth spiral on physical gains, we overtrain. Right? We don't focus enough on rest. We just make sure we get to the gym, even if it means that we're not going to get enough rest. It's an easy one to see. Relationally, we could flip it where we just keep forcing ourselves to be social, where we are giving it all, maybe to our family, maybe to our friends, or maybe at work, and we haven't carved out the time to have solitude so that we're connecting with ourselves. It's something we genuinely need in order to move forward. Same thing relationally. I see this one a lot actually, where we try to make ourselves feel a certain way. I need to be more positive. Who out there has told themselves this lately? Morgan, you just need to be more positive about this. Who's been doing that? When you're doing that, you're focusing on the top of the spiral, the effort. Be happy, be happy. And especially where feelings are concerned, trying to force the feeling is often very unproductive. Sometimes it really backfires. The key with feeling is to experience the feelings you have in a generative way and then reflect. It's the reflecting. Sometimes we just feel, and vent. But venting is not reflecting. And reflecting allows us to actually take something from our feelings and make progress. All right, so that's a quick little overview of flipping the growth spiral. Thank you so much for tuning into this long form of this program for building a deep work practice. We will be live again next Monday to practically strategize how we can rewild our lives, building the passion and energy into our rhythm to really escape burnout and overcome overwork and exhaustion. I hope I'll see you there, and we always love to hear from you. So don't be shy in the comments. Let us know what you think and brag on yourself for taking brave action. We believe that Wild and Brave is better together. So thank you for being part of our community. We will see you next time.